Good morning, guys. It's time for a little language. This week in language is going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but I have no doubt we can do it. It's not going to be tough in that it's hard. It's going to be tough in that it's a lot of writing. It's a lot of writing. So, this week, the only thing you have to do, though, for me this week is I want you to write me a narrative story. I want you to write me a fictional story. All right, so and if we remember correctly, how many parts of a story does a narrative story have? How many parts? Let me hear it. 3. You got it. There are 3 parts of a narrative story. What are those 3 parts? Everybody, let me hear them. What are those 3 parts? The beginning, middle, and end. You got it. They have a beginning, they have a middle, and they have an end. All right, now the really tricky questions. What do we usually talk about at the beginning? When we write a narrative story, what do we usually focus on at the beginning? What are those story elements? If you remember my story elements are my characters, my setting, my conflict, my resolution. You guys, so what do we focus on in the beginning? What is that part that we really want to focus on? Yes, you got to introduce me to your characters. You got to tell me who your story is about and where it is. So the beginning, we want to focus on our characters and our setting. So on that first page, you have 3 pages. You have 3 pages that are all kind of stuff. I even put a beginning, a middle, and an end on them. So find your page that says beginning. And on this page, I want to know who the characters are and where the setting is. And remember, the characters are the people or animals in a book. You got it. And totally spelled that word wrong. Boo boo. That's why I keep him so handy. Yes, totally spelled that word wrong. Setting. There we go. Now we got it. Alrighty, guys. So, yes, we need to tell me who the people and the animals are in your book. You need to have at least 2. It's no fun to have a book with just 1 character. So we need to at least have 2. And the setting of a story is the what? It's where the book is, where it took place. Where am I in the barn? Am I outside in a park? Am I in my bedroom? Where does it take place? Helps me to get a good picture of what our story is and where it's at. Alrighty, so at the beginning, you're going to tell me all about your characters and your setting. Okay. Now here in the middle, what do we usually talk about in the middle? Let's think of our story elements. We got the characters and the setting done. We still need to talk about a conflict and then a resolution. So in the middle, what do you suppose you need to tell me about? Yes, in the middle, you're going to come up with whatever your conflict is. And remember, conflict is the very fancy way that we basically say there is a what? There's a problem. The conflict is a very fancy way of saying we have a problem. So in the middle, you're going to tell me what your problem is, what your conflict is, what that problem is. What is the problem that your characters are facing? What is it? Is it that they ran out of potato chips? That would be awful. Is it that they ran out of cookies? Even worse. Or is it that a tiger tried to eat them? Ooh, that could get interesting. Ooh, Netflix interesting, actually. Oh, I don't know. You have to tell me, what is the problem that your characters ran into? What is it that they need to solve? What is it that they need to fix? All right, so that's on page 2 where it says middle. Tell me all about your problem. Are you going to be able to do that in 1 sentence? Probably not. Probably not. I'm going to need a couple sentences on that. That's why I said this is the part where it gets hard, because there's lots of writing. To tell me all about your characters and your setting, you're going to need a few sentences. To tell me about your middle, where your conflict is and where your problem is, Probably going to need a few sentences. And then my end. Ooh, what do you suppose I want you to tell me at the end? At the end of our story, what do you suppose we need to do? Well, let's check our story elements. We've done characters. We've done the setting. We've done a conflict. What do I need to end up with? My happily ever after. What do we call that? We call that the resolution. You got it. I love it. I love it. Yes, my end needs to be the resolution. That needs to be where my problem is solved, my happily ever after. So if my problem was I ran out of cookies, oh, that's awful. My resolution may be that my two characters, my mom and my sister, decided to make some more cookies. They decided to make some more cookies so that I would have cookies and I could eat them all day long. Ooh, I like that. That's a happily ever after. I like that story. Okay, so your end is going to be your resolution or your happily ever after. That's when everything gets better and it gets fixed, okay? So this one is a little bit trickier and it's going to take a little bit more time. That's why you only have one assignment this week, because it may take you a couple days to be able to write this. Please try to show me the beginning, where you know it's the beginning, and there's your characters and your settings, the middle, and the end. I know when we get to writing, sometimes it's really easy to write all on one page, and that's okay if that happens, as long as you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But since this is like a story, like a book, with Hank the Cowdog, like this guy, he did not write everything on just these 2 pages. He knew he had to keep turning pages and keep adding information. So, as you guys are writing this, that's what we want to do. We don't want to try to make everything fit on one page, because to have a good story, it needs quite a few sentences. It needs to tell me a lot of details, a lot of information. Okay? Alrighty, guys. So one more time, just to review. This week you are going to write a narrative story. You're going to write a fiction story. And a narrative story has how many parts? 3. You got it. What are those 3 parts of a narrative? They are the beginning, middle, and end. You got it. And the beginning of your story, we need to focus on the characters, which are the people and animals in the story. And we need to focus on the setting. What is the setting? That's where the story takes place. Where it takes place. In the middle. You got to give me that. Ooh. Okay, first we'll sound fancy. Then we'll sound like regular folks. Alright, so in the middle you need to focus on the conflict. The conflict is a very big problem. It's a problem. Your conflict is your problem. And then, now we'll sound all fancy for the end. For the end, you need to focus on our resolution. That's correct. Our resolution, or as Mrs. Froman likes to call it, our happily ever after. You got it. Okay, guys. So for this week, remembering, though, some of those tricks and things, what do we know a sentence has to start with? Has to start with a capital. You got it. And it has to have a end mark. It has to have an end mark. And remember a sentence. Okay, let's keep going further. This is really old. This is really old. Let's see if we can remember it all. Okay, so sentence has to start with a capital, has to have an end mark, and it has to tell me 2 things. What are those things it has to tell me? It has to tell me who or what and what's happening. All right, guys, and be very, very careful, though, because I'm seeing some of this. That we have the dog ran away. He went to the store. He bought bones. Boom. Okay. And then we're saying, there we go, Mrs. Froman, I have a great sentence. And I'm saying, you have more than one sentence. So remember, if it is going to be the who or what and what's happening, then that can be a sentence. Okay? So let's see here. let's start with, let's break it up. The dog ran away. Okay, who am I talking about? The dog. What about him? He ran away. That is a sentence, guys. That is a sentence. You are telling me the who or what we're talking about and what's happening. So the dog ran away, boom. That's a sentence. That's a sentence. So if I have to put a period here, what do I know this guy needs to be? Yes, every time I start a new sentence, I have to capitalize it. So that H better become a capital H. So let's try here. Let's keep going. We had one sentence for sure. He went to the store. He bought bones. Okay. Let's go here. He went to the store. Who am I talking about? Either one. He, or we know that he is a dog. You got it. So either one is okay. We know that he. What about him? What about him? What's going on with him? He went to the store. So we know that he went to the store. Tells me who I'm talking about and what's happening. That is another sentence. That is another sentence. So I need to have another end mark there. So there is, an end mark. So what does this guy got to be? What does he got to be? He's got to be a capital. He's got to be a capital. Okay. He bought bones. Ooh, let's see if that's a complete sentence though. Okay. Who am I talking about? He or the dog, you got it. Since we know the dog is the he, you got, I'll take that one. So we are talking about he. What about him? He did what? He did what? Oh, he bought bones. So do I know what's happening with him? I do. So what looked like was one sentence was actually 3 sentences. It was actually 3 sentences. Okay, guys, so we got to be careful with that. If it tells you who you're talking about and what's happening, it can be a sentence. Okay, and let's see if I had the really fat dog, and let's see here, and cat. Boom. Is that a sentence? That's a lot of words. That's got to be a sentence. That's got to be. All right, let's figure out. Who am I talking about? The really fat dog and cat. Who am I talking about? Ooh, I'm talking about the fat dog and the cat. Okay, what's happening with them? What's happening with them? What are they doing? What are they doing? I don't know. So is this a sentence? No, he is not a sentence because I don't know what the really fat dog and cat are doing. They left me hanging. So just because there's a lot of words, guys, doesn't mean that it's a complete sentence. Remember, to be a complete sentence, it has to tell me who and what's happening. Okay? Gets a little confusing, I know. That's why we keep working at it. All right, guys. I can't wait to read these stories. I hope some of them are like really, I'm like, what could they be? With all of us locked in our house, ooh, there could be some really fun things that you're doing. Like I said, I ended up pulling my hair back. Smart, my daughter's getting bored. She keeps wanting to do my hair. I might have to, maybe I'll have a crazy hair day. Ooh, maybe one of our math classes could be crazy math hair day. Don't be surprised if Mrs. Froman shows up with some crazy hair. Alrighty, guys. Otherwise, enjoy your week with writing these stories. I cannot wait to read them. Whether Mom and Dad send me a picture, you send them in Seesaw, or Mom and Dad send them back in the packet, that is okay. That is okay. I'll take all of them. Alrighty, guys. It's a short week because we have Good Friday on Friday. Ooh, short week. Yay! Otherwise, I will see you guys for math. Talk to you later. Bye.